Hi friend, do you ever feel like standard leadership advice just doesn't work for you? Well, welcome to Leadership from Within. In this podcast, we will discover your unique leadership style. We dive into the world of MBTI and the Big Five. We shape leadership strategies that truly fit you. Join us on this journey to find out the one-of-a-kind leader you are. Let's get started.
In the first part of our chat, we dove deep into Gerard's open approach to leadership. Moving into part 2, we shift the gears to talk about his experience steering a well-known international fintech nonprofit. Gerard kicks things off with some killer insights on leading large groups successfully, even when monetary compensation isn't on the table. For anyone navigating the nonprofit or startup world, you're going to want to pay close attention.
So going back to kind of where it started, I knew that I wanted to get into blockchain and digital assets and cryptocurrency. The problem is I didn't know anything about it. So what I decided to do was I said, listen, there's an opportunity here. I don't know anything about it. There are a bunch of folks that have solutions and ideas and products, and there's a bunch of people here that have needs, right? How can I maybe just put them together? So, and I thought if I could just kind of help out, if I could just sort of be a conduit to help people. And then here's what I realized: every person that is in your organization, they're motivated by something, right? Some may be motivated to make money. Some might be motivated to be a person of significance. Some people may want to help towards the vision. And it's super important to understand when you don't have the resources to pay people, it's super important to do two things. Number one, you have to treat people like they're important, right? Like you have to actually really care about people. There's an old saying that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So if you're looking at every person as a transaction, right? Somebody who's going to help you get your means to an end, you'll never develop the kind of loyalty and relationships necessary to build a large organization, because people will come and go because they have no loyalty to you. And the only way that you get that loyalty is by being loyal first. So I treat everyone in my organization, right, to the degree that I can, as if they're a valuable human being. And this has happened so many times. I wish I could have kept count of it. There are so many times when there's somebody who, on the outside, it looks like, you know, there's no value. They're not going to mean anything to you money wise or success or whatever. But oftentimes it's those people that bring great opportunities in the future. So the only way for you to have the kind of organization that is loyal and that will stick with you through thick and thin and really, really bring the muscle, bring all that value, is you have to recognize at the very, very beginning that other people are important, and not to be the big shot. Right? I've always really believed that my role is to serve other people, and that's how I think you get a big organization, who are motivated, for something other than money. Because if they're just motivated by money, and somebody else offers them a little bit more, they're gone. You need something bigger than money, whether it's a vision or personal loyalties, but you need something bigger than money.
Continuing our discussion, Gerard delved into how his previous military career played a crucial role in shaping his leadership beliefs.
Think about this. Jesus was one of the most influential people in the entire world. And what did he do? He took a walk with 12 guys, right? And what you have to understand is you don't need a cast of thousands of people, right, to build a large organization, but you do need a few good relationships. And it's also important never to treat the success at a higher value than the people. Now, I got to juxtaposition that a little bit. I spent many years in the infantry and in the military. And as a military officer, there are three priorities. It's the mission first, and the men, and then yourself. And if you harness a group of people, right, and you're going after something that is bigger than yourself, bigger than just making money, some kind of cause, something that people believe in, and then you treat other people better than yourself, right, and you can last, you'll develop the kind of power, the kind of influence that will change the world.
In our previous chat, Gerard underscored how critical it is to make everybody feel valued. Next up, he's going to explain how to treat people like they truly matter. Pay attention because this is where the magic happens in building authentic relationships and a solid leadership foundation.
Before I do, I just want to say one other thing. One of the challenges, I think, with the current generation and the social media and everything that we are fed right now is, I think this next generation believes that it's all about them, right? And it's, how can I be successful? How much money can I make? What can I do? What kind of car can I get? What kind of house can I get, right? And I think that you can do a reasonable job of taking care of yourself that way, but you'll never be an impact player if your first motivation is yourself, right? Now, going back to your question was, give an example of how you treat other people better than yourself. Look them in the eye, listen to them. When they say things, ask them questions about, make small talk, ask them questions about their life. And then when you come back and have a second conversation, ask them how their kid's doing in soccer, or, make a mental note of the person and their life and the things that are important to them. Here's the other thing that's really important about creating these relationships. You have to expose yourself, right? And so what I find is when I can be honest and transparent with somebody else about my challenges, my failures, my weaknesses, it gives them permission to open up about theirs as well. And this allows you to get to a deep point in your relationship quickly, right? If you can get to that deep point in your relationship, then what happens is the parties involved, they're free to be expressive, and you just get a lot more gold out of that relationship. But what I find most people tend to do today is they want to kind of create this Facebook facade that they don't have any problems, that their life is all together, right? And I'm not saying, wear your problems on your sleeve, right? I don't. I deal with a lot of problems. I don't burden other people with my problems. It's not that. But when you're mindful about a relationship, right, and you can be honest about the fact that everybody has struggles, and you can essentially share with the other person that you're not perfect and you have struggles too, it kind of opens this door to allow this back and forth of real relationship, as opposed to everybody's got an Instagram, hey, my life is perfect. I'm so smart. I spend so much time with people reaching out to me, trying to impress me about how smart they are. And I'm just like, it's just fake. You're a real person. Your teenage daughter thinks that you're uncool, but just being real with people.
In the rest of our chat, Gerard shared 3 things that really helped him and his leadership during the tough start of his international nonprofit. These are having a clear vision, commitment to your decisions, and being wise about where you get advice from. If you're in a startup, you might find his insights particularly invaluable. Individuals with a strong intuitive function, like Gerard, typically excel at grasping the big picture and staying committed to their long-term objectives, even when facing short-term challenges. In this next segment, Gerard will share insights on how his clear vision and forward-thinking approach played a crucial role during the initial challenging phases of building his internationally recognized organization.
At the very beginning, we would meet, nobody would show up, and we just met month after month after month after month, just continuing to go down this track, whether anybody was with us or not. Perseverance, I can't tell you how important perseverance is. If you're doing something you believe in, and you believe that it's good and it's worth doing, oftentimes you have to focus on that sort of vision from the inside, because the outside circumstances don't always reflect reality.
Next, Gerard shared how sticking to his decisions was key, and he made a cool comparison to his successful marriage. We all know managing a marriage can be really tricky, right? But what's fascinating is how those same principles can actually work in the business realm too.
I call that the paralysis of analysis. Sometimes you just have to make the best decision you can, and then once you make that decision, then you make that decision right. So I've made the decision, probably not a great decision, about doing some events and things like that, and we committed. Well, and then once we committed, we're like, oh, that wasn't such a great decision, but we busted our rear ends to make that event successful. Right? In retrospect, we probably wouldn't have made that decision, and we learned from it, and we haven't made that decision since. Right? But there's something about making the decision and then committing to the decision. I told you that I made the decision a long time ago that I was going to be faithful to my wife. Right? Marriage isn't always easy, right? Sometimes I don't feel like being married to my wife. Sometimes, we fight, or sometimes, we annoy each other and stuff. If I wasn't committed to that relationship, it would have ended a long time ago. The fact that I committed to that relationship makes me, I believe, one of the luckiest, one of the most blessed men in the world, because I've got a relationship with this woman that I've had for over 30 years, who is literally my best friend, and I don't know how I can live without. But if I hadn't made that commitment, right, it wasn't that I waited till I had 100% the right person, right? I had a pretty good person, but once I had that person, I would be daggone, I was not going to fail in that relationship. So I believe commitment is much, much more important than making the right decision.
Next, Gerard shared some wisdom on the importance of being selective about where you get advice to support a critical decision.
There's really only two criteria, right? It's trust and qualification. Right? And so the first thing that I always have to ask is, can I trust this person? What are their do they have any agendas or motivations that where they might not be telling the truth, or they might have a conflict of interest? Right? If people are going to tell you to invest in something, the first question you should ask is, are you invested there? Right? But so do I trust this person? What is their agenda for their advice? And the second thing is, are they qualified? Right? Your parents, your spouse, your kids, you may trust them a lot, but they may not know all the details. And you can ask a lot of different people different things, and you can get different parts of their answers. I mean, you can get information from their feedback without accepting it in whole. At the end of the day, you have to take all the feedback that you get, and you got to bring it inside, and it's got to pass the make sense test for you. And not focus on, am I going to accept or reject the advice from this person, but listen to the advice itself, put it all together, right? And ask yourself, does this thing make sense? And sometimes you may make decisions that are counter to all of your advice, right? And in your gut, if you believe that's the right thing to do, I would say you go with your gut, right? Ask lots of people, get lots of perspectives, right? Put it inside you, and then you got to go with your gut, because if you're going to commit to that decision, you can't commit to a decision that you're not locked into. Right? And I'm okay to go against the grain, right? If everybody tells me no, but in my gut, I think it's the right thing to do, right? And of course, as a Christian, I always put this up against the template of what I believe God says is true, right? And so this is really easy for me, because I have a framework that comes from the Almighty, right? That lays out certain truths, and I can rest in that. I don't have to be the God of my universe and figure out all right and wrong and things like that. I've got a framework to work. then I pray, right? And I ask God for wisdom. And then when I screw it up, I ask for forgiveness, right? You've got to be willing to take those risks and be willing to fail, but also recognize that when you fail, you have to have forgiveness.
Thanks for being with us today on Leadership from Within. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights to empower your leadership journey. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to subscribe and share it with others. And remember, if you have any specific questions about leadership, we're just an email away. See you in the next one.